say you're fine, but I can see right through. You're holding your secrets for way too long. This can't keep going on. With every lie, they keep on hurting you, getting away with everything they do. This can't keep going on. Oh, we're gonna find them, and I'm gonna fight for you. They better start hiding. We'll be running with the lions, lions. We'll be running with the lions, lions. They can't run, they can't hide. We won't stop until they're down. We'll be running with the lions, lions.
Hello, everyone, and happy Sunday. Welcome to another episode of Gloves Off. For all of you fathers out there, I want to wish all of you a happy Father's Day. Being a father is not an easy job, so if you've done it and you are no worse for the wear, congratulations. I hope you had a fabulous day, and I hope your family celebrated you tremendously. So I'm so excited for this episode today because we are talking about mental resilience and mental fitness, something we don't talk about often, but I'm excited to talk about this today because I think it's really, really important. So if you are just tuning in for the first time, this is Gloves Off, and this is not just a show. This is a platform for people who speak boldly about what they believe in, and it's a platform for change. And I want to see voices being highlighted that think differently, who are people who are bold, who have different ideas, because really it's time for the world to change. Those old paradigms, they're outdated, so it's time for new ones for sure. I'm your host, Dr. Kalpana Sundar, and if you're new, welcome. If you've been joining us, well, welcome back. So I want to start with one of our sponsors. I'm going to show you a quick video because this is a nice testimonial for the change that happens when you work out for your body. Because one of my sponsors, JM Fitness, works in healthcare, and he works in personal fitness. So we're going to be talking a little bit about body fitness, and then we're going to go right into brain fitness.
This is my client, Michael. Where were you in your fitness journey before you started working with us?
Extremely stressed with work. My diet was inconsistent. I'd work out, lift a lot of weight, and come right home and eat donuts, ice cream.
Yeah.
I guess you could say I had that ideal dad bod.
What prompted you to start with me?
I was ready for a change. I was tired of being overweight, really tired of my teenage son running circles around me.
Yeah. What's your experience been like working with us so far?
I've experienced all kinds of changes. Overall mindset, it's changed. My habits have changed. My diet's definitely changed. It's more consistent.
Oh man, you're an animal now, dude. I'm not even going to compete against Michael.
Yeah.
What have your results been like so far?
I'm down 25 pounds this morning. Dropped about 8% body fat, so I was right around 20% body fat, down to right around 12%. I actually think I put on about 8 pounds of muscle.
Wow.
I can definitely say that in my mid-40s, I'm in better shape than I was in my 20s.
All right. So that is a pretty darn good testimonial. And I've actually been working out with Jeremy for about, I don't know, maybe it's been 2 months, or a little more than 2 months now. And I have seen some very, very positive changes. And I am 55. So I'm pretty excited about that because I feel like I'm in the best shape of my life, which is awesome. So if any of you are interested, he does do virtual training sessions. You can actually scan that QR code. He is offering some free 15-minute consultation. That way you can just get to know him and see what kind of improvement you're looking to make, and we can always go from there. So hopefully that is of help to you. So anyway, let's talk again about mental fitness because we've just talked about physical fitness, right? And I'm so excited because we're going to have Dustin Dean, and he is a co-founder of He's a co-founder of NeuroThrive and the Mind Health Concierge. He's had over 20 years in psychiatric care, and he specializes in brain techniques that really help our brain fitness. Now, he's actually working with his co-founder, who's Mick Myers. And so he's also the co-founder of NeuroThrive Institute and Mind Health Concierge, but he is the former founder of a fitness and holistic wellness business. Now, how do those combine and create what they're doing now? Well, I cannot wait to dive into this conversation today and really talk to them about what they're doing, because there are a lot of misconceptions about mental health and all of that. So they're taking a different take, which I cannot wait to talk about. So let's dive in and bring them on. Well, hello. Welcome, Dustin and Mick. And we got a little flash of Mick before the little animated logo. It was like a sneak preview.
There it is. Taking the gloves off.
Taking the gloves off. I was like, oh, we saw you, just a little flash, and it was like a little tease, and then you were gone.
Right.
So I'm so glad to have you guys here today, because I am really interested to hear more about what you do. I know a little bit about it, but I purposely don't like to find out too much about what people are doing. I like to know just enough that I'm interested, so I get to uncover it on the show, because otherwise I have to fake it like I never heard it before. I like it when it's real.
Like Christmas, right?
Yeah, I get to unpack it and unravel it, find out what it's all about. So I just think it's really interesting, because obviously, you're in this psychiatric space, Dustin, and Mick, you were in the fitness space. Now, how did that come about? How did you two come together and come up with this business?
Thank God for LinkedIn. I say it all the time. I love LinkedIn. It brought me my business partner, Mick. That's how I met my wife. I've had so many opportunities and really a lot of inspiration. And you too, to be honest, doctor, that's how we came together too. And, what just happened is, I've spent years, like you said, in psychiatry and kind of the system, working at one of a world famous mental health facility in the Midwest. And I worked as a nurse for a while in psychiatry, went back to school, got my degree so I could be a psychiatric mental health nurse practitioner, so I could do medication management and psychotherapy. At the end of the day, what it came to is it was keeping my client status quo, but it was starting to burn me out, which I wasn't at my best, and it didn't seem like they were thriving. It didn't seem, and you said you didn't know very much about us, but I don't think there could have been a better intro than JM Fitness, because what he's doing with the body is what we're doing with the brain. And that's something a lot of people don't think of, is that they go and get the personal trainer, but what they don't realize, our brain needs training too. The base state of our brain is survival. It's fight or flight. It's looking at all the bad stuff. We have to start training it to thrive rather than just survive, to process life through our power and potential, not our pain and our past.
I love that. And you know what I love is because there's a lot more these days about thriving. In the past, 10, 15 years ago, everything was just about survival. Even when we get our labs done, it's all about survival labs, not optimizing labs. Even when we get our hormone levels checked and all of that, everything is about like, oh, great, you're gonna be alive, fabulous. But you know what? Things have changed, because we're living longer. We are more vital for a lot longer. I mean, I look at my parents at my age, and I feel a lot younger than what they were at my age. So our vitality has increased. So now things are really starting to shift. And that's where it's really about optimizing and thriving rather than just surviving. So I love this. That's why I was just so intrigued with the concept. And I was like, I have to have these guys on. So Mick, you went from just, obviously in the fitness world. And I think it was perfect that JM Fitness was right before this.
Right.
That was awesome.
Hey, something's working for that guy. He looks great. So
for sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
I don't want to
too. Him. If you're working out with him at 55, I thought you were in your 30s. I'm not going to lie.
Thank you. Yeah. I mean, I think it's probably a little harder as a woman to build that kind of muscles quickly, but I'm trying and it's getting better, but I still have goals. So Mick, tell me what happened that led you from fitness, physical fitness to mental fitness.
Sure, absolutely. It was a process, that's for sure. And the quick story is, after the service, I opened a gym in San Mateo, California. Went out of business, and I wasn't the founder, but I joined Mark Mastroff, and a few of us initiated what became 24-hour fitness back in the days in the 80s. And so that process taught me a tremendous amount about, well, I think I was already had an entrepreneurial spirit instilled, but going beyond 24-hour. So in the 90s, I left to take care of my father back in Indianapolis. We needed to come back. We were rocking and rolling at 24. And so, but as life got away, I ended up then staying there. I developed a couple of businesses, one working with the obese population, the next targeting tobacco cessation, each in its own time. They were both being focused on at different times in the early 2000s, late 1990s. So I became intrigued because I was developing what were programs that were successful, but I was realizing there was something happening there that I just didn't understand, and it was a lot of mental health challenges, things that whether it was somebody dealing with obesity, and maybe that's been going on for them a long time, and their mindset and it was challenged. Certainly, they had some even PTSD. I think some of the folks, and with tobacco, the nicotine was the grabber. It was the thing they were addicted to. But there was a lot going on in different many of the clients or the patients' lives. So while we were successful in one area, I became intrigued. So in right around a little bit before the right in the early 50s, I decided I need to learn this. And so rather than, I've never thought about retirement in my life, I went back to school, spent 7 years getting grad degrees and trying to comprehend what was happening on the science side, the brain side. And then what I learned, it was that there's this approach that's being used. Oftentimes, gosh darn it, it's working. Some people are really out there working hard, but in all honesty, there's just a lot of people that fall through the cracks, including the providers. So the burnouts there, the lack of connection with the clients, patients, I saw that, and it really began to really inspire me to say, look, I think I can do something, not to say fix it all, but I do something different. I think there's got to be a way to connect, go on a journey with these individuals, and make that difference more accelerated, because so many of these patients would come every 30 days, or if they could get an appointment, and that was a challenge. And then finally, I noticed that there was two things standing in the way that I could see, and or one is the support of what people need, insurance, but the provider's hands are tied often with insurance, and so they just weren't able to really provide the kind of care they wanted. Oftentimes, being afraid also, if they didn't chart something correctly, they could be pulled under the carpet, and here they're doing all this hard work charting when they're home. The other side, and there's some fantastic pharmaceuticals out there, absolutely, that help people get over the hump. And when you're talking about maybe schizophrenia, that's a different thing. But when you're talking about anxiety and depression, that so much of this was that I found in the system was that was what you went to. Talk to the patient. You either confirmed or decided there's maybe a different direction you wanted to go in terms of what they were going through in their diagnosis. And then you prescribed, and the time was short. And so I thought, I don't know if that's for me. I spent all this time in school. I got to do it different. Then I met this guy, Double D, and
Double D.
And
I love it.
and we said,
they call us M2D2 because he's Mike Myers. I'm Dustin Dean, and I'm a Star Wars fan, like R2D2, M2D2. But we thought with some of the clientele and everything that we're serving, they might be like, well, "Are these guys for real?" You know what I mean? So sorry, I didn't mean to
right.
No, but hey, it's great that you both have a sense of humor because it makes it much more enjoyable. And I came from a background, obviously, in medicine and surgery. And back then, I remember feeling so buttoned up and uptight, like I couldn't have a sense of humor. But I did have a sense of humor. I liked to joke with my patients. And I remember, it took me about 15 years to finally start joking with people because I got tired of being so buttoned up and just all professional. And I remember that they loved it and they enjoyed coming and seeing me more. And I was like, oh my God, why haven't I been doing this? But I was brainwashed into thinking that we had to be so uptight and professional. You can be professional and still joke and have a good time.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
You can be uptight and not be professional too. I think many times people forget that human connection. And that's what, I like to call it. When you're under insurance and you're under the traditional system, everything is monitored so closely in regards to, is this therapy? You gave this diagnosis. You should give this med, instead of actually going on the journey with the patient to walk that journey and see where they're really at. And that's what Mind Health Concierge has given us the opportunity to do. Because of the way it's set up, because it's cash pay only and it's subscription based. We meet weekly. They have, 24/7 access to us through text. I mean, obviously there's an 8-hour span where we can reply within, but they can text us and we can send resources. And there's that journey instead of here, sit down on the couch, tell me everything that's horrible in your life. Okay, try this med. I'll see you in a month. It just, like you said, and to be able to have a sense of humor but there's so much that, especially in psychiatry, as we're coaching and mentoring, we can do that. We can be solution focused. We can go on the journey with them. Mm-hmm. But with a traditional practice, if it's covered by insurance, it might be, oh, you said this was just therapy, and then you said this doesn't fit within there. Now, we have the option, that's where Mick and I came up with kind of this idea that, we start out mentoring coaching type scenario, walking the journey with them. We see where that gets. We see where our brain fitness, program that we've put together with the steps. And when we get people going, lots of times that just works. You know what I mean? But if we get stuck, okay, maybe we need a little higher therapy. Okay, then maybe we go back in and really hit those therapy type scenarios. If that doesn't work, then we go, okay, maybe this is chemical. And it can happen fast and it can happen out of order and stuff. But really trying to have a progression rather than meeting someone for 45 minutes saying, here's who you are. I'm diagnosing you right now, and I'm prescribing you a med because this is what the insurance says I have to do to get reimbursement. And you know what? There has to be a system and everything. I understand that, but we wanted to try something new, and honestly, the results have been pretty amazing.
Well, again, as I was saying in the beginning of this show, these are the kind of topics that I love to touch on because the old paradigm is, outdated, big time. And insurance companies, they obviously have the stronghold right now, but I would love to see that change. And the more, listen, and there's a place for the insurance. Some people, that's what they've got and that's all they want to do. And that's understandable. That's fine. But there are enough people who don't want to do it that way. They want a little more of their own autonomy to figure out how they would like things to go with their mental health, with their physical health, or whatever. That's why we see such a rise in functional medicine doctors, because many people don't want that little factory turn mill of, go in, get a medication, get 5 medications, get 10 medications, whatever the heck it is. When you go to see a functional medicine doctor, they're really assessing what's going on. They try to really put a game plan together, and it may or may not involve medicine. A lot of them try not to prescribe medicine.
Right.
And that is really beneficial for a lot of people. I personally don't want to be on any medicines. If I can help it, I'd rather do anything but be on medication. So, and again, the world is stressful. The world is constantly shifting. We are dealing with so many different things, more pressures than we used to. I think a human being has a lot more on their plate than they did 50, 60 years ago. So there is a role for developing this mental fitness, resilience, and how do you, I don't want to give away the whole, proprietary stuff, but in general, how is this different from, let's say, traditional therapy, other than the insurance component, obviously?
Yeah. So, it kind of pretty much, it's different in almost every way, to be honest, because the initial approach is different. Okay. The initial perspective, they're coming in and we're looking to go on a journey together.
Okay.
And we're going to hear what's going on, but then we're going to try to change the habit of processing life through the fight or flight brain. Okay. The natural state of the brain, like I mentioned before, is fight or flight. It's identifying every threat. There's nothing wrong with it. That's what keeps us alive. But it's not just like our muscles. We have to have that repetition, 21 to 30 days to change a habit. So what we initially start doing with our clients is kind of taking an approach of, what's going amazing in your life. We always start there. Okay. What is good? Because so many times the fight or flight comes out and the sessions starts with not a real glimpse of who the person is or what's going on. And that's what they think traditionally has happened, is you just go to the therapist to purge everything, but it doesn't really give a system that helps you stop that thinking. Okay. It's just a way to purge it. Instead of it, what our approach enables the person to build the techniques and the strengths to do that themselves. And sometimes we have noticed we kind of eliminate our need at times, but that's what we want. We want people thriving. And it goes through, simple things like I said, initially they tell us what's going good. Then we talk about what the challenges are. And last, we talk about what are we going to do about it. And we all come up with a plan together. That's another thing that's unique, is we have dual providers with different experiences. Lots of our clients, across the board, anybody's welcome, but lots of them have ended up being high-performing individuals. And with Mick's background in business, and then my background in psychiatry, and then the gelling of those two with our system of training the brain. It's really repetition. It's really, somebody called it, what do they call the bicycle class for the brain? Spin class for the brain.
Spin class for the brain. That's adorable. I love that. I love that.
You're in there, and that was what they said. They recommended our next step, which is what NeuroThrive has become, because now we're doing groups. So that's more like the spin class. The fitness class is like the personal trainer, the one-on-one. And so it's hard to explain, but it's very exciting what the results are, and how it's so simple. It's hard to explain, because it's really training the brain and walking that journey with the person and giving them the opportunity to talk about the challenges and everything, but knowing you have a team. I think that's one thing that Mick and I have seen is really awesome, is our clients start to train their brain to focus on the positive, but then the challenges come up. And then when we meet the next week, they talk about the positive, they talk about what went good, but then, like in traditional psychiatry, they say what's going on and everything. But you got a team coming up with a plan of how we going to address that. Is this a threat, or is this just, is it the soreness? Like your muscles have the soreness? Is this just your brain getting afraid because it's something new? There's breakdown of the muscle. There's breakdown of the neural pathways. And is that what's going on? So it's really exciting, to be honest.
What I think is so cool is that this is the crux of so many important issues in most people's lives. Fear. That reptilian brain teaches us how to be afraid, and it's fight or flight. So it's actually really interesting. I have to point this out. What I do is so similar to what you do. It really is.
We're a good company, Dustin.
Yeah, no, we are. Well, because it works. I think this is what's cool is a lot of people are coming together that have seen this. So I want to hear,
Yeah.
What I was saying is that this is what I do, and I do it for med spas and, entrepreneurs who are starting their med spas. But I realize that so much of entrepreneurship has to do with personal development and dealing with the fears and the reptilian brain. You cannot be an entrepreneur until you control that fear. So a lot of what I do is around that. And of course, I've been in the industry for over 20 years, so I know all the nitty gritties of it too. So I can help them with business strategy and all that stuff. But I'm also coaching them to calm that fear-based thinking. And, there's other stuff that we work on, but it's very, very similar. And it's really important because in this world, we don't have, I don't know where I saw this, but we don't have the fears that we used to, meaning that we're not going to get eaten by a lion.
Right.
We're probably, hopefully, with the high functioning people, hopefully we're not starving and all those things. I know it still exists, so I don't take that lightly, but I'm just saying that we're generally pretty safe in our lives. So I feel that because in our modern society, we don't have those fears, our reptilian brain starts to act up in everyday life situations, in our social relationships, our business relationships, in our everyday life of like, oh, well, if I do this, what if I lose my job? Or, it's just stupid, chattery noise that's in the back of your mind.
Right.
And it doesn't shut up until you teach it how to shut up.
That's it. Right.
And it's the soreness, just like with muscles, it's saying, no, don't do this. You're hurting me. And, the same thing we have to go through. It's great. It's great to hear that because, and then, you step back and then media knows that most people are functioning from their reptilian brain.
Right.
And that's why 90% of news and everything else is negative, which then just goes and feeds that fear. And we can change things. And that's why Mick and I came together with Mind Health Concierge and now NeuroThrive. I'm really excited about NeuroThrive too, but yeah.
That is
cool.
It's so cool. And I love that with both of your diverse backgrounds. And it just goes to show you that there's a different way to think. There's a different way to create. And that's really where I feel our world is shifting towards, all these boxes that used to be really uptight and square. I feel like they're being blurred and the edges are being blurred. And so there's combinations that are happening with people from different backgrounds coming together and thinking creatively, which I love. So you're both on every call with clients? Is that typically how
we are?
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Dual provider.
And I get to sit quietly, as you can see, and just and just listen. And I'm usually the very outgoing, loud one. So I've got a partner here, though. He comes in and from this big picture view coming down, allowing me an opportunity to sometimes just observe and be able to come in and oftentimes play hero a little bit because he gives me that opportunity to really assess and see what the heck is going on here. What is this person maybe trying to achieve? Having 4 ears, 2 different brains with each individual. We don't overwhelm anything. Our goal there is to be a part of a team with them, and they know that. And it's amazing how quickly, compared to what I experienced previously and before we started this, just how quickly people grab onto it. And so even the assignments that we give after each session, and there are things that we and really Dustin has had success with at the facility that in Minnesota there for a long time, is that they're anxious to it. You know, it's funny. It's funny. You give somebody something, and when you're working for a system, a hospital system, and if a patient came back and actually grabbed onto that, you think something really happened here. What, you really did that? What did I say that made you go ahead and do this? Whereas with our clients, they are coming back before we say by next week, go over these things, whatever they are that are attributed to whatever they're going through. And we'll be getting text messages. Hey, and they're so excited to bring that to us. And so they're really changing themselves. They're really growing. What we're doing is providing. Sometimes we're a coach. Sometimes we're a provider. Sometimes we're cheerleaders, and sometimes we have to guide, which goes against the system a little bit. But we have to, we stay away from the transference piece, but we have to guide them. And it seems to be, they thrive, and that's beautiful. Yeah.
I love how you said the guiding goes against, what coaching is all about, because I have to say that was something that I completely disagreed with after going through all my coaching certifications and all that. I was like, but people are coming to me because they have a problem and they want it fixed. And if I have the answer, I'm not going to have them waste their time for, 3 months till they sort it out and keep asking them annoying questions.
Absolutely.
I totally disagree with that, because there are, so I'm going to say this to you guys because I feel like I can.
All right.
Because there are some things in the coaching industry that drive me bananas. Okay. And let's start with the first thing. That's the holding space. I'm like, I don't know. That just sounds like a bunch of BS to me. And I'm like, I don't know. What does that even mean? Just like holding space. I'm like, okay, what are you going to, I don't know. Whatever. That just sounds like a bunch of hoopla to me. And I don't like it. The second thing is, are you complete? So when I first moved to California, I actually started to hang out with a lot of people who were coaches. And this is the way they talked. And I wanted to strangle myself. Sorry, I really
Tell me how you really feel. Now bring it. Yeah, no, I hear you.
I was like, what is this? I felt like I was in some version of the Twilight Zone. I'm like, what is this? Right. A whole weirdo language? I don't know. And I just said, I want to help people, but I cannot help people like this. I'm going to do it my own way. And I don't care if the coaching industry thinks it's wrong. But when I talk to them, I'm finding out what is wrong. Yes, I ask them questions. I'm trying to figure out what's wrong, just as I know that you both do. Mm-hmm. But at the end, if we're not really guiding them at all, what are we really doing?
Right.
Solution
focused. We don't have to tell them what to do. And they always have their own free will of whether they want to do it or not. But I will give my clients some suggestions. Whatever their problems are, here are some suggestions. How do those feel to you? Good, not good? We'll come up with others. That's how it should be. I feel like it should be a collaboration, not me just asking you a lot of questions so you can drive yourself crazy for a few months and feel like you got nothing out of it.
And Dustin, with therapy too, cyber coaching.
Yeah, it's even a step worse than coaching. Sorry.
Right, because you've got transference, countertransference, and those are good things to learn, because we're not coming in to tell them something that we personally feel they should do. It's more professionally. What we're saying is, if we're guiding that person in a direction and giving them some direction, we know that's worked before. We're not doing anything to put them at risk, nothing unsafe. But if we're giving them that direction and we know, that's playing into this and it's going to help them and it's going to help them get where they want to go, then we'd be holding back. We'd be, I think, doing an injustice not to go into that guiding piece. So rather than just asking all the open-ended questions, sitting and listening, which, some of that's great, of course, but rather than just doing that and saying, we got to stick by this guideline. Yeah. We just want to see this individual get healthy. And so we go down that road, and then he and I will meet. That's the other side of the two provider piece. We meet after, we meet before. We're not rushing any of this. We're not trying to gather in hundreds and hundreds of clients. But what we're going to do is we're going to talk about this and we check each other, because if there's anything there, which it's gotten smoother and smoother, we've gotten this thing going together, but we're always questioning. We've got that automatic feedback coming back. We're going to look out for that individual no matter what it is. And the same thing goes with this group process now that we're looking at. We'll do it together. We're starting with teachers because they're struggling, and we thought, if we can do this one person at a time, and that's unbelievable. But what we want to do too is say, how can we stretch this out further? Maybe even at some point help other people transition into this process and do some of the teaching. The goal here being that we can spread this out a little bit and help people and get people to focus on their power and their potential, not just the pain from their past only, and see them move forward.
And I think the cool thing, and this is why, to go back with you, I feel your pain with the coaching. It's a step even worse with therapy, because you have the insurance saying, why did you say that? That doesn't seem like therapy. That doesn't see you. Are you guiding or are you, inappropriately influencing the person? Like,
Right.
And that's where coaching and mentoring, coaching, you have a little one step less, because it is the person's, they're choosing you as a coach rather than a therapist. So you can imagine how amazing this feels that when we started Mind Health Concierge and we were able to just do what we know we're amazing at. And that's to go back on what Mick was talking about, the, NeuroThrive. I've always loved groups, but it really wasn't our idea. What happened is we have a client who was loving, like the individual comes to the session and is just pumped every week, like different than I normally had. Lots of times therapy is kind of draining, at the end it's good, but this individual comes fired up and they were like, you need to do this, make it more accessible to larger amounts of people. We really know that teachers need this. Teachers are struggling, target this, make it, and Mick and I came together and, I'd had curriculums that I'd written in the past, and I'm like, let's do it. And NeuroThrive, to be able to, if we can get the same results in groups that we have in individuals, it's going to have, and then to know that those are the individuals that are teaching our communities, we're just pumped. We're so pumped.
That is so amazing. It really is, because teachers are struggling, doctors are struggling.
Oh, yeah.
Then we have veterans who are struggling. I mean, there are so many industries that are struggling with so many different things, and that I feel that this could really look. I'm expanding your whole business plan now, and let's start doing things to help these people and those people.
Collaboration.
That's the plan. Is it doesn't take much, because, like you said, this is what almost everybody needs.
Mm-hmm.
I need to process my life through my power and potential. I need to train my brain. Those fears still come. That lizard bird, that brain still comes up.
It's just that sorry. I was just going to say, I think we just learn to control it better, right? I mean, it's normal for those fears to rise. I mean, I had it happen to me a couple of times this weekend because I'm putting on an event, so I'm having a business boot camp for aesthetic providers, and I'm super excited about it. But I'm not going to lie. A couple of times I've had this little thing come in my head, like, oh, wait. And I was like, shut up. I just tell it to shut up now, and it goes away.
You got it.
There it is.
Shut up.
You got it.
Nice.
But
you have to tell it to shut up sometimes, or it doesn't.
And you hit it on the head. That is, we do want to reach as many different groups and everything. It's just, we had a client that's like teachers. So we're like, okay, but we have been, the curriculum is developed across the board for anybody, maybe we change a slide or two and do a little research.
I think with anything, when you have a framework, you usually can apply it to other other types of people. The framework is solid. It can be applied to, even with what I do, I can apply the same thing to other businesses.
Right.
I just prefer to work with a group of people that I understand they're in this industry very, very well. So, who knows, maybe I will change it one day and do other things, but you're right. It can be expanded out into something else. So I think maybe you have to work with doctors, because they really need help too.
Yeah, and we know that. We see a lot of that. A lot of burnout friends of ours.
We actually do.
Friends of ours who are. And it's just a struggle. And the sad part about it is they put so much of themselves. We all have done that. Poured ourselves into this. And not to be able to pour ourselves, if you will, into the work and the patients and be able to trust it. And I think that's just hard. It's hard for a lot of people. You're right about that, 100%.
It is really hard. And I have to say, I felt I was lucky that I was able to leave medicine, because at heart, I'm an entrepreneur, and I'm not going to say I didn't have fear. Of course I did, but I don't let that fear paralyze me. I don't know, somehow I'm able to control it and move forward. But most physicians can't. They want to leave, or they want to change their life in some way, and they do not know how to do it. And they do get so afraid. So it would be great to be able to help people see how they could be living life so much differently.
Absolutely.
And
And then what you're doing, I was just going to say, what you're doing is fantastic, because things we've talked about, Dustin, I mean, somebody that starts early in their life, particularly into medicine, and then that's what they know and know well. But then to go into the business side is so different than that. And it takes a different mindset, really, completely, to be able to take those chances, get outside the box, as you said, and be successful. So what you're doing for folks to develop the strategy for business, to find that passion, that's already there, but to bring it out, that's huge. I mean, you're changing lives.
You're awesome. That's all there. No, honestly, it is, because what I was going to say before is there's so much judgment. Like, it takes courage to step out, because people go, you've got this degree, and now you're like going off starting some coach or some mentorship, or like, where's the science behind that? And like, I'm like, I've seen science and it's important, but I've seen results, and I know what we do works, and I know it makes people better, and people are thriving and loving it. I don't have to prove anything to you. And I think so many times when we go through years of medical training, the fear that is put on us of judgment from others because we didn't go to the right school, or because we might sound like, we might be looking at some alternative types of options and everything. It takes courage. And it also takes bravery, because when you spend as much money as we've all spent to go to school, and then you realize, maybe I need to try something else that's outside the box. Oh no, what if it doesn't work? And I've got A, B, and C that I've already invested time and resources in. It takes bravery and it takes courage. So props to you. Props.
Oh, thank you. It wasn't easy, but I'm glad I did it. But, the other thing is that there's a real identity crisis for, and I think this probably happens in a lot of different careers. But I'm just going to speak about doctors and medicine, because that's the thing that I actually know. But I remember when I left medicine, not only did I hear from everybody, oh my God, the degree, the surgeries. I mean, I spent, almost 20 years trying to get this degree and learn all these techniques and surgical procedures, et cetera, et cetera. Then I practiced for about 20 years. But just leading that was a real identity crisis, because I didn't know where I fit in. And that felt very lonely. I remember that. I mean, luckily I could, I have a lot of like self-trust, so that helps. But, your family thinks you're crazy.
Oh, yeah.
Every doctor, actually every physician I know, I don't talk to anymore. Because now they can't relate to me. I still am a doctor. I still have the degree, but I'm not, practicing in the ways that they are. And you know what I realized? It's just because I don't live the same life that they do anymore. So we don't really have anything in common. When you get together with doctors, they like to talk about medicine. They like to talk about how much it sucks and how they have no life, and they love complaining. And I don't have any of those. I don't have anything to contribute to those discussions.
Yeah, no, it takes bravery, and sometimes it feels a little bit lonely. And that's what we find. I think any time people become successful, that's where a lot of what we're doing, and in part why we're targeting the teachers, I think they really feel lonely and judged, and maybe they're limited by rules and everything of what they need to do to teach their kids, and to just show them support. Lots of our clients who have been executives and that sort of thing, when they come up with something new, they're scared to go and try something new that it might really help their business, but it might take a little bit of time, and people don't like that, and they judge. And it's like exactly what you said, and you have to step out, I think, to change things. If you look historically, the people that have changed the world are always those ones that are brave enough to step out and go, you know what? I'm not going to talk to someone just because they have the same blood as me, or they have the same degree as me, or they pray the same as me. I'm going to work with individuals that care about thriving, and they care about life, and they care about others. And when those people get together, look out. And that's why I'm really glad that we connected, honestly, Doctor.
Oh, me too. Me too. And again, another props to LinkedIn, because you're right. I mean, you did better than me. You found your wife on LinkedIn. So
Oh my
He did,
God.
didn't he?
That's
Right?
the best too.
maybe
Yeah.
that's where my future husband is. I don't know.
Hey,
Really
it's the
start
best
looking
place.
into LinkedIn. But
LinkedIn, are you
seriously,
listening? We'll
Yeah,
take
yeah.
we'll take sponsorship, right?
Right.
there'll be LinkedIn matchmaking services
I
soon.
love it. It is kind of
Based
a
on
matchmaker in a
Dustin's
weird way.
experience. That's the
Yeah.
next thing you got to start.
Yeah.
But no, seriously, but like-minded people are, it's very, very important. And I think here's the other thing people don't talk about. When you make drastic changes in your life, you leave a lot of people behind, because a lot of those people are not going to agree with you, and they're going to be negative Nellies, and they're just really, it's hard. So you just have to, I've walked away from a lot of relationships as I changed my life. And it's not that I don't care about people. I know it sounds really harsh, but I just knew that they would hold me back from doing what I wanted with their negative talk, with their fears, and all of these. I mean, frankly, I mean, luckily, my dad will maybe watch this one day, but he thought I was crazy for the longest time. And now
Sure.
he thought I was crazy for doing all this. He thought I was crazy for moving to California. I was like, I don't know. Okay, well, if I'm crazy, I'll move back. Well, I'm still here. So clearly everything worked out. But I know he wants the best for me, but you have people like that they want to keep you safe. That's really their reason. I mean, I don't think they mean anything.
No, it's
negative.
through love that he that's right. That's
Yes.
right. He wants
And
to-
I think the other people who did this and said the same things, it was always through love. But if they continued to say those things, I couldn't listen, because eventually I'd start to really let it affect me. And
It's a strange combo. And to be honest, from my years of experience and everything, and this is sometimes another approach that is challenging, and it takes courage to do what you did, because, we find it so much with our clients. And I think that's what's nice about having a team, is we are a team that's here to support you, because there are sometimes, as you start to thrive, there are relationships that are going to change, and you're going to have to leave some things, and having support and having people say it's okay, because there's very few people that will say it's okay to set boundaries, or they'll say set boundaries, but it's okay to step away from blood. It's okay to step away from the way you've prayed in the past. It's okay to step away from the career and the degree that you've had in the past. And it takes a team of support, and there's love, but when love is intertwined with fear, it can really become a struggle and a damaging thing, and trying to help people untangle that thing, to realize it's okay if people that you've historically had a strong relationship are entangled in fear and they're packaging it as love. You might have to grow yourself in order for that to be untangled and identify which is which.
What a great
Beautiful
statement. That is so beautiful. And wow. I mean, you almost have to really let that sit, because that is so true. And I would say that was true in my journey. I mean, in the beginning, I didn't want to talk to him because I was like, he's driving me crazy. But later, it's fine. I mean, and even when he would say those things, I'm like, Dad, I'm okay. Don't worry about me. I'm okay. If I'm not okay, I'll let you know, but I am okay. He still doesn't really understand what I do, but that's all right. That doesn't, it was easy for him to say my daughter's a surgeon. He has no clue what I probably really do. He just doesn't know, but that's okay. But it is out of love. And I think that's just such an important detail about that. You may actually have to work on yourself to be able to untangle that.
That's right.
Wow. I mean, that is profound, really.
And it's freedom. In the end, it starts to sometimes eventually become freedom for both of you. Like whether the other person realizes it or not, untangling that tangled past and that tangled fear and love combo, because you can't really even love if it's entangled in fear. There'll always be that kind of, okay, I love them, but I want to get away. I love them, but I need space. I love them. Only when you untangle can you go, okay, I love them for who they are, but I'm not going to take on their fear. because I love me. And that's the problem. And that's the journey that we work on with a lot of in the individuals. It's getting individuals to love them and see that they're amazing. Okay. Cause that's the only, and first and foremost, people are not going to understand it. And they're going to have to take some stands that's going to offend people, that's going to make them upset, that's going to make them call them crazy. Okay.
Or uncomfortable.
But the ones that are actually worthy and do love you in the end, stick around for it. They might not understand. They might do some things that
we've seen that time and time again.
But when you respect that boundary, if they respect that boundary enough, then you can salvage that, because there's more love than fear. But if they don't, sometimes you really have to go, that's totally fear. And yeah, sorry, Mick, I didn't mean
now you know why I joined. Now you know why I connected with this guy. By the way, happy Father's Day to your dad.
Oh,
if he is listening, happy Father's Day.
Happy
yes,
Father's Day to everyone.
Yes,
he raised an amazing daughter. He has an amazing daughter. Maybe I should say, like, let's go there.
And we're fathers. Yeah.
Oh, I love it. I love it. And, I just so appreciate this, because this, I really feel like I've gained something from this interview, because, I never really thought about it in the way that you just described that. And I'm feeling so, I don't even know how I'm feeling. I have to really think about it. I'm a little at a loss for words, but just what a profound concept. I think, you don't really think of it that way, and it's really important. So I have to say, I love what you guys are doing. I knew the minute I saw you, I don't remember even how it came up on LinkedIn or how we really connected, but something intrigued me. And I said, I got to really have them on the show. And I was looking at your posts and I said, I don't know, this is just something very interesting. And I love this because it's so unique and it's so needed. And it's just something that I believe the world needs. So now I think you guys are not going to be able to sleep or eat for the next couple of months. I hope you're just so busy helping.
Please, come. We
the world.
Please, like because
that's what we're here for.
It's so it is what we're here for. And it works. That's the thing that, I mean, obviously it might not for everybody, but we've seen over and over, and it's awesome to get to go on the journey.
It is. And, it's so obvious that both of you, love working together, which is so important because,
Yes.
if you're going to spend so much time together, you have to enjoy each other. I can tell that you guys are friends and you're obviously colleagues 100%. And all of that, respect each other's opinions. You could see all that, even though we didn't discuss any of that. You could just feel it. Right. And I can also see that you love what you do, because when you love what you do, it doesn't really feel like work. And I used to hear that all the time, and I used to think, I don't know what the people are talking about, because what I'm doing feels like work. I get up in the morning and I just cannot wait to get started.
Isn't that awesome? Isn't that the best?
It's exciting for me.
Yeah.
And I feel the same enjoyment and that excitement from you guys. So it's just so great. And so when somebody doesn't have that, for all of you watching out there, if you don't have that, listen, it may not be the time now to find that, but maybe it's something you should keep in the back of your mind to find it, because it has changed my life to get up in the morning and just be excited and thrilled about what I do every day, which is amazing, which I think is probably a perfect place to end on.
Yeah.
I am so grateful that I met you. I'm so grateful to have you guys on. For everybody watching, there's their website. If you would like to contact them, everybody could use this resilience. They really can. We all need brain training, just like we work out, we eat right. We really need to pay attention to what's going on in our brain. It's probably, I would say it's equally important. Honestly, it might even be more important, because if you have some sort of limiting beliefs and issues that you probably can't even achieve the level of physical fitness that you want to.
That's right.
So it all ties in together.
No, I had friends back in California in those days that proved that true. One was Robin Williams, and when he was going through addiction, it was the fitness, becoming addicted to that really helped get him going in a new direction for a long period of time. And then you always hear Arnold, talking about it. But the brain does control all this. Having a brain that can absolutely connect with thriving and connect with your power. That if you're going to work out, that's if you're going to be the biggest bodybuilder on stage, or you're going to be a very healthy, fit 55-year-old, it starts in the brain. The body is going to fight you, but if the brain doesn't fight you, you got this, right?
Exactly. Well, thank you guys so much for joining us. And honestly, I'd love to have you back sometime and see what other new programs you've launched.
It's our honor.
Anytime we get to hang with you, Doctor, like we're here. We'll make it. We'll make it happen. Okay.
Awesome. Happy Father's Day, guys, and thanks so much for being here.
All right. Take care, Mike.
Well, I hope you guys enjoyed that. I don't know why. There we go. I was not on full screen, but really reach out to them if you're able to. And I hope everybody had a wonderful, wonderful Father's Day. Next week, I'm going to be interviewing PJ Jones. She has had a very difficult go of life. And again, we're going to be talking about resilience, how she overcame all the difficult things that she's gone through in her life and came out with a whole new positive mindset. So tune in next week for another episode of Gloves Off, and we'll see you then.